Quick, get some toilet paper.
Eavesdroppin.
Hello, eavesdroppers. Now listen, we've got something a little bit special for you this week. I've got a stand-in for Michelle because she's still by Jen's bedside. Get well soon, Jen. But we've got someone our regular eavesdroppers will know. Not only does he write in, but he also contributed to a jingle. And he gave Michelle a nickname that remains to this day. Yes, it's the little bitch nickname. And this is Ray Hill.
Hello.
Hello, Ray. Ray's here. She'll be beside herself, Ray.
Hello, Geordie. I tried to get in touch with Michelle. I wanted the robe, but I didn't get anything back. How good would it have been if I was wearing the robe?
Well, I'm wondering how good it would be for me, because currently my view would mean that I would see, if you were naked beneath the robe, Ray.
That's what I had in mind.
All your secrets would be on show. And I'm not sure if I'm ready for that.
I do have a robe. I want to say it's silk, but it's probably something really nasty made in the 70s or 80s of
polyester.
All sorts of chemicals, yes. I think it's been under my bed for the best part of 10 years.
Oh, Ray.
Yeah, it's not going to be nice.
What else is under there? Thick layers of dust?
Oh, definitely that. Collecting dust.
You could use the robe as a kind of...
I could clean under the bed with the robe.
Absolutely, yeah. Multi-purpose, but no terry toweling.
Do you know, it would make a lot more sense. This robe of mine is not the sort of thing you want to get out of the bath with.
Why? Because it would cling to all the
nylon and water.
They don't mix.
Neither flattening nor useful.
Well, listen, I just wanted to introduce you to the eavesdroppers right now, Ray, because they do know a little about you because they hear from you now and again.
Yeah.
But Ray is not just those things. He's much, much more. You're a former bass player, Ray, aren't you, from the band Ligament?
I did do that.
Which were around, when were they around? Was it the 90s?
Mid-90s, yeah.
Mid-90s. So Google that, guys. You'll go mad. It's fabulous. He even sings a song, don't you, Ray? What was that song that you sang?
I sang a few, but nice that you remembered one of them.
I loved it when you sang. I mean, I liked it when Tim sang,
you.
But you were a good singer too. Together they were great.
I used to shout more than sing.
All about the shouting.
I don't know if there's much tunefulness in there.
Ray hails from Devon, and there's also a Devon band that you were in before.
Oh,
that.
yes.
Blind Descent, right?
Blind Descent, yeah. Me and my still best friend now, Reed, were in that band together.
Now, for those Patreons who are listening right now, you will get to hear Reed. This is exciting, Ray, because last night, it was my birthday party last night. And by the way, it's Ray's birthday today. Happy birthday, Ray!
I'm going to podcast like it's my birthday.
Let's podcast like it's both our birthdays, because it's always been our birthdays 2 days apart.
It's so good because I get to celebrate at whatever you've arranged.
Basically,
really.
Ray jumps on my parties, yes.
100%.
Cheapskate, yes. Takes all my attention, none of the cleaning up afterwards. But Reed, he told me a couple of stories from his Devonian days about things like, well, they're spooky things, actually. So if you're not a patron, you'll have to go over and pay it, a little tiny bit of money to buy us a cup of coffee and have a listen to some of Reed's spooky stories about the magical land that is Devon. It is quite magical, isn't it?
It really is. Get out on the moors and, that's spooky. You've got that big wild cat and, and all sorts of spookiness. Josh Widdicombe tells spooky tales of Devon. That
we did a story on it, a podcast.
Thing. Yes, of course, yeah.
The hand of, I can't remember now. Because everybody will know. We have these conversations, Michelle and I. The hairy hand of Dartmoor.
There you go.
That was it. Because we talked about disembodied hands a few weeks ago, a couple of months ago. But listen, Ray's not just a bass player. He's not just my friend or Michelle's friend. He's also a top shelf sound engineer for bands and television alike. Tell us some of the bands and the television shows, Ray, that you've done.
Oh, blimey, so many. I don't want to blow my own trumpet here.
I want you to blow it. Give it a good toot.
I did have a question about this. Yeah. It's true, I am a sound man.
Celebrated sound man.
I do sound for TV and for bands. And I was wondering this, Geordie, just how much you'd invited me on the show, how much of it was for my banter, and how much of it was because I might have a microphone, unlike other friends.
Okay. Well, for me, it made sense when Michelle was the one who nominated you, actually, Ray.
Bless her.
She said, ask Ray. And of course, I don't think she actually would have thought that far ahead in advance to think, oh, he'll have a microphone.
Little bitch comes through again.
Quite the little bitch. So I just thought, oh, yeah, bloody good idea, because not only do we have great chemistry, Ray, there's that,
Hey.
but also you've got a microphone. So that's probably 50-50. But like I said, it was Michelle's idea.
I'll take it.
She said, ask Ray.
Well, that's very kind of her. All of our wishes go out to her, of course. Hope she's back very soon.
We're counting on Jen to come good and continue eavesdropping.
Yeah, we want the Jen stories.
Absolutely. Now, listen, you haven't said anything about the bands.
So back in the day, I used to do the Faith Healers and Stereo Lab. I used to do some chart bands. I used to do the Cranberries and Frank and Walters. Corner Shop are getting a lot of play on the TV ad at the moment. I did a couple of shows with them.
Brimful of Asher on the 45.
Exactly. All your 90s faves. Yeah, that was me. And then just recently I stepped back in and I did the Brainiac tour recently. We were away with Mogwai. That was so much fun. Love those boys.
Oh, I bet. Was it a different time, though, Ray, than when it was in the 90s when you would have gone on tour with those guys?
It was different for me.
A bit more tea-based.
It was middle-aged men having fun this time round, yeah.
Which looks very different, doesn't it?
Thinking they can get away with it.
But then it's still bed by 10.
It's all an excuse to get away from the wife and kids for them.
Yes. What about the television? Anything we would have seen?
So TV, I'm Mr. Daytime TV, Mr. Light Entertainment.
Oh God, yes.
So when I was freelancing and doing stuff by myself, I do like an American show, House Hunters International, which is kind of the American version of A Place in the Sun or Location, which I also did.
Yeah.
Lots of that kind of stuff. Escape to the Country, loads of cooking programs. Did the F Word for a while.
What's the F Word?
You know, Gordon Ramsay.
Oh, yes.
Shouting at people.
Oh, God. Did you meet Ramsay?
Yeah.
Was he nice to you?
I
Was
did.
he a see you next Tuesday?
He was a nice guy.
Oh, good.
He was a nice guy. He was just very, very passionate.
Yes.
So I could allow him his F-bombs.
Yes.
I thought Raymond Blanc was a better chef, though. I thought... Because at the end of the shoot, you all dive in with your forks, all the crew, and taste their food. Of course you do, yeah.
Wow.
I remember one cooking show where we literally all had one in our top pockets ready to go.
Come to work with a fork. You're working with Ramsay and Blanc.
And everyone would dive in quick to see how much they could get and see how nice this food was.
Elbowing out of the way.
His was about the best I tasted, yeah. Although Ramsay was very good.
Do you remember what you had?
I don't remember the main, but I remember this amazing lemon tart he did afterwards, which was so right up my street that you can go wrong, really.
Tart.
Love a lemon tart.
I like a tart, lemon tart, yeah. Sour, like me. You also ride a motorbike.
I do, yeah. I rode a motorbike just to your house yesterday.
I didn't come out and look at it.
Paddy did.
Yes,
your
he told
husband,
me.
Yeah.
He said it was green and the most gorgeous beast he's ever seen. And then Reid told me, he said it's a huge number. You know, you calculate them in numbers, don't you?
It is a big number, yeah. It's 1,200.
Wow.
Oh.
Something hot and throbbing between your legs.
Does that mean anything to you?
Do you know what, Ray? I have ridden a motorbike. I used to have a C90, so I know that that's the very, very smallest one you can get. And then you work your way up. And I once sat on a 750 and found it really heavy. So I can imagine your... What is it, 1,300? 1,200. I've also been on a Harley.
It is very, very heavy.
Yes. Yeah. How do you manage that?
By being very, very strong.
Really? I have a feeling there's more to it than that.
Well, it's like riding a bike, isn't it? Once you're away, you don't feel the weight.
So you have to get it up on the stand and that?
No, it's a side stand.
Okay, so you flick it out and then knock it over.
You flick it out, exactly, yeah.
Have you fallen off it? Have you ever fallen off?
No.
Thank God.
I'm trying my very, very best not to do that.
Have you dropped it?
No.
Oh, wow, okay.
Not this one. I've dropped other motorbikes.
No dropping this one. It's too heavy, Ray.
No dropping.
You'll crush a toe.
Yeah, you'd never get it up again.
You wouldn't. Of course we're laughing about that sentence. Just warning the eavesdroppers that if you think Michelle and I have ridiculous, saucy, what they call double entendres, Ray and I are worse.
Oh, much worse. Much worse.
Awkward. Orcs!
I'm fascinated by this whole eavesdropper thing. It's taken me so long, this, Geordie. My God, all this technical setup and the story writing. Yeah, I don't know how you do it. How long does it all take you?
Well, every time we record a story, obviously the first one took ages, and it's changed a lot since we first started in November 2020. But what we do is we decide at the end of every episode, before we say goodbye to each other on the phone call that we had, we'll decide what next. And if someone's got an idea, they'll posit it, and then the other person will go, okay, and they won't tell what it is because we want to be surprised. So when Michelle tells me her story, I've an inkling what she's going to talk about, but my reactions will be the first time I've heard what she's telling me.
That sounds dangerous. What if you turn up with the same story?
So we make sure that we give away enough information so that the other person will know not to avoid. So I'll say to her, listen, I'm doing a rock star, for example. It was Gone Too Soon, her idea. She wanted to do Gone Too Soon. And she wanted to do Avicii. She said it's Avicii. I had no idea. As everybody knows, I don't fucking know who Avicii is. So she was home and dry. It was all going to be surprises.
I listened to that episode and no, you didn't have any clue.
I really don't.
I was with you. I had no idea. Yeah.
We're too old, Ray. He's a bit younger.
You know, there were periods where I could name every song in the charts, but there's also a point where that's a very steep drop off.
Quite literally like lemmings from a cliff.
Over a cliff, yeah.
Absolutely. So I told her, because I thought Brian Jones, I hoped she didn't, obviously she'd read a book about this whole Jones conspiracy, which I'd never heard of before. So I said to her, okay, so he's a famous rock star, but I already knew she was doing Avicii, so that was okay. Yeah. I'm trying to think of another example. I can't. If it's a murder or something, she'll say, okay, it's a hometown murder, it's Australia, because she's very good at doing those Canberran Australian ones, which hardly anybody knows about. Right. And quite often they have been nominated by our beautiful audience over there in Canberra, of which we have a lot.
I loved that hometown one she did, yeah. And then she went back and tried asking people about it, and nobody had heard it. I think it was a Swedish one. The
Swedish one. Yeah. I mean, it's great if you can get, because there are so many podcasts out there that do true crime, and most of the true crime stories have been done to death. It's the details that are also quite troubling, and obviously we're talking about death and people's lives ruined left, right and centre. So it's hard to make a comedy podcast work out of that.
Sure.
Obviously, we've honed it a little bit since then. We try not to get too detailed. There's a couple of episodes, if you go back in the back catalogues, which are almost untouchable.
I haven't gone all the way back. Has it changed a lot?
Yes, I would say so. There's a whole witchcraft episode where Michelle told me about all these children that had awful things happen to them. Then there was, which was modern witchcraft. Right. And then there was another one that she told, it's always Michelle, bless her. There was another one she told me about the Piggy Palace. Actually, I got in trouble because I told everyone about the Streatham cat strangler and the Brighton cat murderer. And people who have pets could not listen to that episode. And then her part of that story was about this guy who had loads of great parties but kept killing sex workers and serving them up to his guests. And she got quite detailed.
That's tough to bring the comedy out of.
Yeah, it was a toughie. Not many of our eavesdroppers had heard that one.
What are your favourite topics or episodes?
Favourite topics for me are easy. Cults.
I was going to say cults.
I love them.
Love a cult.
Love them. You just
love
never
the cult
ending.
every time. I should have done a cult. I wanted to do a cult.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Yeah, I think the best ones are done. Plus, I won't get into it now, but I've got something of a personal story, so... I know. I wanted to do that.
Oh, well, maybe we do that for a Patreon episode.
Yes. Yeah? Cults with Ray.
Cults with Ray, absolutely.
I'll be on the lookout.
Yes. Well, you've got to bring your personal story. What do you mean?
I'll give you my personal later. It's not a cult story. No.
Okay.
I decided not to do cults and do a different topic because...
Oh, because it's personal.
Experience, yeah.
Right.
Which was tough because most of your topics, ghosts and supernatural...
You're not into it?
My bullshit monitor goes off, somewhere just before Michelle, actually. But I still really enjoy them. I enjoy her calling bullshit a lot, that's for sure.
She calls bullshit, but she bloody believes a couple of things which are quite wacky.
She's definitely on top of UFOs, yeah.
UFOs, and we've got to talk a little bit about the moon landing.
Yes.
She don't believe it.
She loves a conspiracy, it feels, yeah.
She does. A lot of people in the world do at the moment, actually, the conspiracy theories.
Let's not go there.
Well, I'm going to go there later on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've got some info. Because you asked me to get the mailbag out, have a little riffle through my mailbag. Do you want to hear?
I do.
I got one. It's really old. It's from Eavesdropper Louise, and we did actually read it out when it was sent to us. And of course, I forgot to put the date on this, didn't I? So it was ages ago. And she said, "Hi, ladies, I'm new to your podcast, but I'm really liking it. Anyway, the alien episode was very good. We've done loads since then. I have a few things for you to think about. How do we know that some everyday stuff we see aren't alien ships, like clouds, birds, shooting stars, could be ships going into light speed? I'm not a conspiracy theorist," she says, "but I wonder. I agree also that our government people are too stupid to pull off mass hysteria on their own, but all you need is a threat that you are the only one that can save everyone from." Does that make sense? Did I say that right?
Some of it.
I think what she's trying to say is she thinks the government are too stupid to coordinate a great big conspiracy cover-up, which I've always said.
Yeah.
Because look at the world leaders when it was Boris.
I totally agree with that. I think they're way too stupid, yeah.
Way too stupid. But what she has just said there, and I'll try and say it again, all you need is a threat that you are the only one that can save everyone from. So Boris, for example, if it was Boris, it's not, he says, right, aliens are coming, but don't worry because I know how to kill them.
Right.
Or don't worry, guys, I've made a deal with them.
Sounds more Trump than Boris, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's okay. I'll have a chat with them. We're all golden with the aliens. It's all sweet. So I think that's what she's saying there. And she goes on to say, look how fast we were okay with wearing masks, closing small shops, shutting down schools, distancing ourselves and saying no Thanksgiving or Christmas. This distancing keeps us from forming a group to say, no, we won't conform to you. Social media makes it easier, but it's not private. And then she says, stay beautiful and keep eavesdropping. Nice tagline, Louise. And it was a nice tagline.
Well, I do believe, contradicting myself, that perhaps governments know more. I can buy that. In fact, of all of them, I can buy aliens and UFOs because, there's got to be life out there. It's common sense if you do the maths.
It's common sense, but is it common sense for it to be humanoid?
Don't know about that at all. But what I could go for is the idea that lately the government is kind of trickling out bits of info and getting us ready for
disclosure.
Yeah. Well, I think the release of those Tic Tac videos, that was very unlike governments. It just feels like maybe it's time they were desensitizing us a little bit and drip feeding a bit more, so when the day does come, when there's either a landing or...
we won't lose our minds.
Exactly.
Well, it's interesting you should say that, Ray, because I've got a little something that I just pulled out of The Guardian from Stuart Clark, and it was only 6 months ago. He said the continuing lack of transparency about UFOs in the US is causing concern not only about the existence of aliens, but about the psychological fallout of uncovering a conspiracy.
Wow.
Which is interesting to think about, right?
Yeah, he's bang on. I mean, sorry, Geordie.
What?
I totally zoned out.
You didn't hear me.
I didn't.
That's okay. I'll tell you more about it. He's bang on. I'll keep that in there.
Tell me the story again.
You just said something about the UFO, the Tic Tacs, but there was, after the Tic Tac reveal, there was this UFO bill, and it seemed like we were finally going to get some answers, but then at the last minute, the US government watered it all down so it would pass through Congress. So in June 23... last year, there was a big stir about UFO sightings because this ex-intelligence guy, David Grush, we talked about it at the time, spilled his guts to the debrief website, and he had said publicly, and he was allowed to say it, that the US had been snaffling up non-human spacecraft for ages, right?
Yeah.
That then caused a congressional hearing where Grush and others talked about their experiences with this super secret project and what they'd seen during their years of military service. And their stories led to the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Disclosure Act put together by a mix of Democrats and Republicans. So it's almost like the military had something, but now the Congress are now getting on board with it.
Yeah.
So the idea of alien spacecraft raises some serious issues about whether or not we're alone in the universe, as you just said. And it's not just little blobs of mucus sitting behind the wheel or a breath or what else could it be? Like a hair. Just a strand of hair.
Oh, who knows what? Yeah, they could be so teeny tiny they're walking amongst us now. We just
Exactly. They're here. We're invaded already. Yes, tardigrades. They're from outer space.
There you go.
Yes. Well, so there's a lot of scientific research happening right now looking for signs of extraterrestrial life and also exploring what it would mean for us psychologically if aliens really do exist. People are working on it now. I don't know what that means.
Well, how nuts do we all go and give up the constraints of society, I guess?
Does it bode well or does it bode badly? I mean, we're pretty fragile.
What would you do the next day? Go down the shops, buy toilet roll, I guess.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do. Bottles of water and toilet paper.
The aliens are coming.
Quick,
Stock
get some
up.
toilet paper. Oh, God. But the issue with governments is trust and lack of transparency regarding UAPs. And that led to speculation and debate, which further eroded public's trust, which is like most things these days. COVID,
right.
This whatever's going on here in the UK with the riots and what prompted those riots, you know?
Yeah.
So this Disclosure Act meant to restore trust and assure Congress that secret projects were being monitored and being shared amongst Congress. And this act was brought out after the 1992 President John F. Kennedy Assassination Records Collection Act, which was something they had to do because after Oliver Stone released the film JFK, he was kind of the first one to bring that to mainstream, that it was a cover-up by the military and the government together to kill John F. Kennedy. And then because of the way they managed that, they're applying the same basic model to this whole UAP thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot more, but I couldn't be bothered to tell you. So I've added the link. Michelle will link it up. She's still working from home. So, that's that little response to one of our mailbag things. And it's something that continues to fascinate, of course. Yeah,
I can't believe you got me talking UFOs. But, right, straight in there. One of the things I wanted to leave alone. But
sorry.
Yeah, ever since Trump made his Spaceforce, I've been...
Huh?
You know, Trump set up a Spaceforce.
No.
Yeah.
How do I not know that?
It was going to be like the big next military unit, you know, so you've got the Army, the Navy,
and the
Air Force, and now the Space Force,
Oh, I get it, right. I didn't know that.
What's he setting that up for if he's not aware that there's a presence?
Well... yeah, maybe. If anyone's going to disclose, it's him because he's got loose lips.
Yeah, he's totally the type that would tell the world. Yeah, can't wait.
There's more shit going down. It'll go down this year as well. When is that election happening for them in America?
Oh, a couple months, I think.
Oh, wow. Did you know, we've got a mutual friend who went to school with Kamala Harris.
No way.
Yeah.
Do they know her personally? Do they know, is she...
I think so.
Is she a bright spark? Is she...
I think so. You know who it is. Lisa G.
No.
Yes.
I can see that now you say it, yeah.
But she posted a picture on her Instagram with 3 little girls, and one of them was Kamala, how do you say it? Kamala Harris.
I don't know. Shout out to Lisa.
Shout out, Lisa. Shout out. Shout out.
You're getting a shout out.
Oh, yeah. I meant to say, I'm not doing the voices. I'm not doing the songs.
Oh, Ray. Ray won't sing. You know what? After a couple of cups of tea, Ray does sing.
This isn't the time and place for it.
Do you want me to root round in the mailbag for something else? That
You get your nose right in there. Have a root
I'm
round.
going to just have a good truffle hunt. I'm going to pull something out that no one's ever heard before.
Okay.
Because Michelle and I did not know what the fuck to do with this letter.
All right. I'm excited.
Okay. Hello, girls and ladies. Hello, girls/ladies, it says.
And me now.
And you're included in that, yeah. Me and my partner/girlfriend, he likes a slash, or this person likes a slash. My partner, girlfriend/fiance, what?
Where's this going if he likes a slash?
/ soon-to-be wife needs your assistance, advice / help / tips / tricks / tools / ideas / info / opinions / thoughts / feedback /
Wow.
Oh my God, I can't even say the last. Support and suggestions.
Okay.
We're both in our 20s as well, so I love a younger listener, right? I love them. So around 24, 25 from the UK. Okay, I've given away too much information because they wanted to remain anonymous.
All right.
Sorry. So basically, my partner/girlfriend has this weird fetish / kink / obsession.
All right, now I'm in.
Bloody hell. For belly buttons / bellies / tummy buttons / navels, innies, outies, etc. Wow. She especially has a fetish kink obsession for my belly outie belly button, where my belly button sticks out a tiny bit on my belly. I don't know why I was born with my belly button sticking out. I don't know if it was down to a hernia or if I had a diastasis recti. What's that? Diastasis recti.
I've absolutely no idea.
Okay, well, I didn't Google that, sorry.
No.
Where basically my abdominal wall, stroke muscle / abs behind my belly button didn't properly close correctly, or if I had a gap or separation, oh my God, or if I was just naturally born with a normal outie belly button. Let's just go with the last thing. Listener, let's just go with the last thing. You're just born with an outie belly button. It happens.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. I don't know the proper name. Don't worry about that either. He said, I don't know what the proper name for a belly button fetish is. I don't even know how common outie belly buttons are amongst the innie belly buttons. What? She basically wants to mess around, tease mine, play with my belly button in different ways, especially with her tongue. Now it gets a bit saucy here, Ray, so just brace yourself, please.
Okay.
By licking my belly button. And she also wants to suck on my belly button as well. And she wants to tickle it a lot and kiss it or snog it. And she wants to bite it, nibble it, etc.
Yes.
Playfully. And she wants to prod it with her fingers, stroke tongue. And she wants to do whole belly farts, belly blows, belly raspberries, zerbets. I've never heard that word before. All over it. They're young. They're in their 20s. These are new words, Ray. We're learning.
To zerbet. Yeah. I've
Zerbet.
never...
She likes to... Zerbet all over.
Maybe I zerbeted and didn't even know I was doing it.
Imagine that, Ray. Let's just assume you have.
Maybe I'm doing it right now.
You probably are. It's a really hot day, so I reckon you are. Anyway, zerbets. She likes to do that on top of, with her mouth sealed against it. We get it. We know what a belly fart is, belly button fart is. We know. And then she also wants to eat things out of it, like cream / honey, chocolate syrup, sauce, ice cream, other items, food out of my belly button. And she wants to use cold products using ice cubes, etc. I'm not...
All about the belly button.
There's so much. But the problem is, Ray, they say, I have a phobia of belly buttons or of having my belly button played with or touched, blown on, etc. I wouldn't say I hate it or dislike it when someone touches or plays with my belly button. That's not the case at all. I want it blown on and played with by my girlfriend, as she gets very turned on by it. But I have a hypersensitive to touch, ticklish belly button, and my belly itself in general is hypersensitive to touch and tickling, as well as I am very self-conscious about the outie belly button, they say. This person says they want to know how to get over the phobia and the hypersensitivity about the outie belly button because they want to have this as part of their intimacy. I can't read it word for word because there's too many slashes.
I think we've got the gist. We got the gist. It's all about the zerbets.
Exactly, the zerbets. They trust 100% and love their girlfriend.
Yeah,
and
that's tricky.
I really do. Once we're in the bedroom, I'm not as self-conscious or hypersensitive.
Yeah.
I don't know if it has something to do with it being in other places like outside or in public.
Yeah.
I don't know why they've said that. I'd rather do it in private, they say. Fair enough. I'd rather do it all in private. I want to know how to mess around, tease and play with my girlfriend with the belly buttons in bed, in the bedroom together with her. Can you do a podcast episode?
Wow.
Covering everything, including all of our questions, please. And if we can stay anonymous, that'd be great.
I think this guy might be zerbeting along to this episode.
I think we've been zerbeted. I think this is some sort of fakey zerbet. But if it's not, apologies, apologies. It could be real.
I'll deal with it and be as constructive as I can.
First of all, Ray, let's ask you, what do you think about this?
Well, I've a little personal experience the other way. So I had a girlfriend who was very sensitive and wouldn't let me anywhere near her belly button.
But you can't, you just have to get your tongue and zerbet all over that belly button. You just can't bear not to.
No.
I thought that was like a thing that I wasn't aware of.
I could take it or leave it. So I
like
left
most
it.
people.
Yeah. It might have been 10% disappointing that, there's limits.
Somewhere you can't go.
Yeah, somewhere you can't go, exactly. Of all the areas, I could live without it and did for the duration of that relationship.
Okay.
These guys, do we know if it's a guy and a girl?
Well, they haven't said, so I'm just going to assume that it is a man and a woman.
Yeah, just for...
we are Gen X.
Yes, of
course. We shouldn't assume.
Apologies if we're getting this wrong, but...
Soz.
Yeah, they sound very much in love, so, I wouldn't say move on. They need to find a way of getting over it. I would suggest he needs to desensitise.
Okay.
So a little bit each day to get him used to it, a little bit of rubbing. Then introduce creams on day 2.
Creams. Creams, ointments.
Yes. Creams and ointments.
Yuck. That sounds awful. Well, I did a little digging and I found out that the name for it, it's because they asked what the name of it is. Yeah. It's omphalophobia, which doesn't mean belly button fear. It actually means a type of specific phobia. So anything that's really specific, like belly buttons or chest hair or something.
And did you look the other way? Did you see, is there a name for her fetish?
No.
Oh.
I didn't.
I bet there is.
I forgot to do that.
I bet there is.
Yeah.
Let's make one up.
It's funny, isn't it? Let's make it up. Zerbiting.
Of course.
She's a zerbiter.
She's a zerbiter.
But that phobia, all phobias actually fall under the umbrella of anxiety disorders. So I can feel that person's pain, wanting to be okay with it for the sake of the relationship, but can't.
I wonder if he's self-conscious that he's got an outie.
Yes, he said he was. They said that they were. He said,
yeah.
Yeah.
People are.
Self-conscious. But it's perfectly normal.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember that
Are you in or out?
In.
I'm in too.
I've got a son with an outie, and that happened because it didn't fall off completely.
Too much information.
Sorry. But things like that happen, and you have to dab a caustic soda. We won't go there. All right, sorry guys, sorry. We'll
Someone's
move on from
frantically zerbiting in the background now.
But listen, if you have omphalophobia, then you absolutely dread the sight of seeing a belly button.
Yes.
And you try and steer clear of them. It might mean avoiding pools and beaches and changing rooms. And when you do see one, you're overwhelmed. I don't think he's got the phobia.
No.
About belly button. He's just ashamed of his own.
Just a bit sensitive.
Yeah, exactly.
Desensitize yourself, mate. A little bit each day.
That's exactly what I was going to say to him, actually. There's self-help techniques that you can manage all of this with, like, mindfulness and whatever. But actually, try gradually exposing yourself to the belly buttons to see if you can learn to tolerate them. Or in your case, Anonymous, then just little by little get your ointments out, as Ray suggested.
I'm saying yes as if I'm anonymous.
Yes.
It's not me.
It's not you. So it's basically called exposure therapy. And I think you're absolutely right. But if that doesn't work, I really don't know what to suggest.
Document it as well. Do a series of YouTube clips. You don't have to post them at first, but...
Who?
The guy.
Not film it.
Film it.
Why did you say it's so creepy?
Because it is creepy. Share it with the world.
All right, do that. Post it up and you will remain anonymous. We'll just black out your faces, but we'll put it on the Patreon if you allow it. We don't mean to laugh, by the way, if this is serious, by the way.
I'm sure any more advice is welcome.
Yes, I think so too. Well, that's about all I've got, apart from, the types of CBT where the therapy gets you used to belly buttons bit by bit. But it's really about the hypersensitivity for him, I think. So I wonder if maybe some cling film, like a condom for the belly button area, might help to desensitize the area.
Yeah. A big plaster over it to start with or something.
Exactly. Or you said before about ointments, Bonjela.
Yeah.
That numbs the area.
There you go. That would help.
And it tastes like cloves, so she'd like it too.
2 for 1.
It might be a new thing that you really enjoy.
Definitely film it.
Yeah. And film that for Ray. He'd love that. Send it in.
There's probably some obscure part of Pornhub that will take that as well.
That's another bit of advice, but I'm sure because they're in their 20s, they probably are very well in touch with Pornhub.
Make some money.
Eavesdroppin'.
Eavesdroppin'.
Eavesdroppin'. Eavesdroppin'.
This wasn't from your mailbag because I don't have access to your mailbag.
Oh, no.
But I was at the barbecue and I met a guy, Mark. I think he's one of your regulars.
That's Rains Park Mark.
Rains Park Mark,
yes!
The very fellow. I said hello to this guy and he was introduced as that and I was like, I know who you are. I know you are from the podcast.
And he knew who you were because he's heard your jingle, Little Bit.
It's such a family. So I asked him for a question and he asked, what's the first myth or legend or unexplained phenomena that you remember believing was true, like when you're a kid? And
like Loch Ness or something?
Yeah, I guess. I guess it's different because you've got Santa and all that as well, haven't you?
That would be the first one, Mark.
Yeah.
There you go, Santa. I didn't even think of that. Tooth fairies. You didn't think this through, Mark, when you asked this question. After Santa and the Tooth Fairy and the Easter Bunny, then it would have been a close second to just general fairies, because if the Tooth Fairy exists, then so do normal fairies, right?
Right.
But moving through, I'm coming up to a teenager here. I remember sitting in a caravan with a bunch of other teenagers with a Ouija board.
Wow, I did that when I was a kid as well.
Yes, and so did Reid, and he talks all about that on the Patreon. It didn't end well.
So you actually recorded this with Reid?
I did.
Oh,
yeah.
you two steaming drunk at a party.
I wasn't.
You were drunk by the time I left.
Was I?
Never mind.
I had a big glass of water after that, Ray, so that I straightened me right out.
You straightened up with cake?
With cake. Yeah, the cake did all the work for me. We'd gone on to the Ouija boards. Yeah, so I did believe that, and I was rather scared. I did it probably about twice in my life, and always with a pinch of salt.
Yeah.
But I think there's always that doubt in the back of your mind. Is it real? Is it true? Will the ghosties come and kill me?
Did you ever push it?
What do you mean?
On the Ouija board?
No.
You never did?
No.
No, I did.
Did you?
I did.
I always suspected that other people were.
Yeah, which made me always think, well, if I did...
Everyone did.
Then someone else does.
Why did you do that, Ray? Why'd you ruin it for everyone else?
To freak someone else out, probably.
Typical. And then, of course, UFOs. We've already talked about them. UFOs. I think I totally believed in aliens from the beginning because there was a TV show called Uncle Martin or My Favorite Martian in the 70s, 80s, not even 80s.
Yeah.
It was probably a rerun job. In Australia, there was only 2 stations. Everything was a rerun. I Love Lucy, I Dream of Jeannie, and this one, Uncle Martin. Did you get that in England?
I don't remember that one, no.
He had an alien that lived in his house and he passed him off as his uncle. And sometimes he'd have antennas that would boop go up in his... And of course there was Mork and Mindy as well.
Yeah, Mork and Mindy I remember. And there was also an alien who was called something new and he was like for kids.
Alf.
Alf,
yes.
Stupid. I didn't... It was awful. I didn't watch Alf. No, me neither. I remember as a kid... my parents having this book, I think it was written in the 70s, Chariots of Fire.
Yeah.
No, not Chariots of Fire.
I think it was.
No.
Dum, 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 dum. Is that Chariots of Fire?
No.
Fire in the Sky?
This was about aliens having been documented like hundreds of years ago.
Man. I know the book. It's not called Chariots of Fire.
No, it's a really famous book. And the guy's dead famous as well.
Chariot of the Gods or something.
Chariot of the Gods. That's it.
Chariots of the Gods, Eric von Daniken.
There you go. You probably covered him on this podcast.
I don't believe we have.
He's like, do you ever watch that Ancient Alien show?
I'd love to.
He's like the start of all that.
I bet he is. He's the star of the show.
No, he's like the godfather of all those conspiracies that aliens were here thousands of years ago and people documented it.
I would love to see those ancient aliens and things because I think that that's what this book's all about, isn't it?
You know, pictures that were hundreds of years old of what looked like spacemen and spacecraft.
On cave walls.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and carved into rock.
Yes, ancient aliens and all that bullshit.
Exactly.
If it's not bullshit, it might be true.
I looked at those pictures and I was all over it as a kid. I was like, well, that's definitely a picture of a spaceman.
Yeah.
They've been here. But I think... although loads of people obviously believe that and there's TV shows on that subject every day, I think a lot of it has also been explained by other reasoning, by...
What, like kids getting in there first and drawing pictures on the walls?
Graffiti.
A Banksy, stuff like that. Well, I know what you mean, though, because it was a book that made me completely believe so much that I was scared to go to sleep at night. And it was Whitley Strieber's book, Communion. Whitley Strieber is an author, and I've done a whole episode devoted to this book in the past on my own, one-hander, because it was such a game changer for me. It really did turn my head and make me think, oh my God, this is real. This man was abducted by aliens. Right. But he is actually an author of things like horror and stuff. And then he did all this stuff because he had what he thought was the experiences. And there's a film starring Christopher Walken and that hair that just magically stands up on its own.
Yeah.
It's amazing how that hair does that, right? How does he do that? Just goes straight up.
Don't diss the Walken.
I can't diss him. I adore him. But he played Whitley Strieber.
I thought you were implying a wig or something then.
No. Oh, God, no.
Okay.
Why would you get a wig like that?
Yeah, okay.
It's natural.
He is from the 70s.
But his hair still does that.
Well, I think... very much with men, you kind of pick the style you like and you go
stay
with it. Yeah.
Really? There's no changing?
A little bit of changing. You're allowed like one slight change a decade.
Okay. When I first met you, Ray, you had long hair down to your shoulders, all one length, like a bob.
Yeah,
yes.
that was 90s-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it short.
Thank you. It's chill right now, so that's good.
Yes, exactly. I like it how it is now.
Very tidy.
It's a tidy hair, tidy crop. So, yes, thank you to Rains Park Mark. I guess I've answered him. Have you answered him? Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Did you believe in aliens then? Did you believe it?
I did when I was like 7.
Okay, but not when you were 17.
No. As I say, I think anthropologists kind of looked at it and say, oh, this could be this and this could be that.
They poo-pooed it.
They did. They did a big poo on top of that. Yeah. I got another question for you.
Okay, yes, hit me.
Why am I not getting mugs and T-shirts for standing in? Where's all the stuff?
Okay, well, I haven't started yet. I did have a little look the other day because we said something about underpants saying pick up your panties and go. I know you do, especially the patrons. They deserve like a key ring for free just for signing up. When Michelle and I next get together, we are going to do some designing of logos and whatnot, and then we're going to find some manufacturers. But what would be helpful from you eavesdroppers is to know what you would like to purchase from the shop.
I know what I want.
What do you want?
It's so obvious, Geordie. I can't believe you and Michelle aren't all over this one.
A cap?
No, I think the eavesdropper travel pussy is an absolute must. You could have 2 different sizes.
Who would buy that?
I'd buy one.
Oh, God! Creepy Ray's back. Creepy Ray's back in the room, guys. Sorry.
No.
Oh, Ray. Okay, well, we could do a travel pussy, but that would be a very limited run. I feel like that's throwing good money after bad, when you can just wear a latex glove.
Our belly button friend would zerb along with that.
Oh, I wonder if you could get like a belly button version of the travel pussy.
Yeah.
Could you fill it with hot water?
Well, that might help him.
Yes. Start with a travel pussy, place it on your tummy.
Yeah.
And the girlfriend can go at it. And he just doesn't have to worry about the hypersensitivity or his exposed outie.
Yeah. There's your first step of desensitising.
God, we're solving problems left, right and centre
so
here.
bang on it.
So, do you have a story for me today, Ray?
I do. It's Great. A personal story. I chose this because it happened to me.
Oh, I love those kind of stories.
I know. So it's a bit weird. It's a bit weird telling a story about you rather than, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I was there, but I'll do my best.
Well, often we do get together and you just tell me things, Ray, that happened to you. So just pretend that that's what's happening now.
So it's a story about empaths. I've
Yes.
been looking at empaths. So not people that display loads of empathy, people that just can't help themselves, and it's like they have this superpower. They can sense people's emotions, strangers, without talking to them. They just get this aura. And what's been fascinating about looking at them is I thought this would be amazing and you could really use it to your own gain, but it feels the more I read, people don't enjoy having this. They become loners because being out in crowds is really overwhelming and they pick up on negative energy and sounds awful. I was reading about this one woman and she would get in a terrible mood every time her husband came home and decided, I need to fix this.
Oh, God.
And eventually found it wasn't that she was mad with him or it changed her day when he got back. It was just his energy coming back from work.
Oh.
And she was feeding on that and then projecting it out. So, yeah, a
God.
really difficult thing to have to deal with.
We've actually had people write in about that before, Ray, We had a great listener called Natty J, whose stepmother was an empath, and she felt the physical pain of a motorcycle accident that happened nearby. She didn't even know it had happened.
Yeah.
So we read that out on the podcast. It's like when they can actually feel like people's actual physical pain.
So no premonition or anything. This is as it was happening.
Yeah.
That's a bit like my story.
Okay, tell me.
Yeah. So we're back in 2008.
Yeah.
And I'm working on a TV show in Provence, France. I really remember this show, and I remember calling you while I was on this show. Really weird. You were you were at some festival. You were at like Gay Pride or somewhere, and I can distinctly remember having this phone call with you. Anyway, that's got nothing
what was it
to do
about?
with the story. You were just having a gay old time at a festival.
Do you remember we went to a festival, we saw The Creatures and Mark Armand, and then we went on a ride and we were sick afterwards.
Yeah.
Not physically sick, but both of us were just done for the day.
Yeah, that
because we ruined ourselves. Yeah,
it was a bit too much.
It was silly. We were both looking at each other, going, "I want to get off. I don't like it."
Anyway, I'm in this beautiful part of France.
Provence. I'd love to go. Never been.
So good. Oh my God, if you ever get the chance, it is stunning. So I'm doing sound on a TV show. I thought it was called Pardon My French, but I had to look on IMDb and I can't find it. So I'm obviously making that up.
That was the working title.
Yeah. The general premise, though, is we take 3 celebrities out to France and they do total immersion into French culture, and we see how well they improve their French, and at the end of it they have a task. They have little tasks all the way, but at the end of it they have to do a big thing. We had Marcus Brigstock.
Love him.
He's really funny. He's a nice guy. He had to do a comedy show in French. His French was kind of mediocre going out there. He was all right, but not brilliant. We had Ron Atkinson.
Don't know who that is. Is he a snooker player or something?
He's a football manager.
Okay.
He was a football manager. He was the one that they used to base Big Rog Manager out, the Fast Show and all that.
Got it.
And you might also remember he was, just before I was working with him, he'd got the sack out of punditry because he made some racist remarks about players back in the day.
Racist Ron,
yeah. He would have got cancelled, but it was a bit early for cancel culture. And we had Esther Ranson.
Oh, I love Esther Ranson. Was she nice?
So fun to spend your day with Esther Ranson.
Oh, I bet it was. Oh, thank God you said that. Thank God you said that. You know, I've recently met Gloria Hunniford just in a queue for a cake because she lives near my father-in-law when he was alive. And she's also very nice. I love those old school ladies from television.
I tell you who I liked even more was Angela Rippon. She's the absolute best. I work with her. She's like the best schoolmistress ever.
Speaking of these old ladies, which a lot of Australians won't know who they are, Nanette Newman. I did a job with her once. She's fabulous. She's really nice as well.
She kept her looks as well, didn't she?
She sure did.
Oh yeah. So yeah, Big Ron was going to do punditry on a TV show, like a football punditry at the end of his, and he was absolutely rubbish. He had no French going out.
Right.
I think Esther was the best French speaker. She was going to do like TV presenting, I guess. Yeah,
wow,
just go on daytime TV or something. And we had all these restrictions going out there. We weren't allowed to talk English on set.
You weren't?
No.
Bugger that, Ray.
Well, that's what happened. Those restrictions lasted a couple of days and then it was totally impractical. So we tried not to talk English around the contributors. You know, it's like you just get chatting, you can't help yourself, particularly if they ask you a question in English.
Yeah.
Weird job all round. I'd got it from a friend who had passed on it, and he put me in touch with this guy, Andy, a cameraman who was living in France. He'd moved to Burgundy, just outside of Chablis.
All the wines?
Exactly. I went to Chablis and bought a crate, which was bloody lovely. He was there because one of his school friends moved there with a family. I think her name was Lou. She'd separated from her husband and she was taking care of 2 teenage kids. And her and Andy really looked out for each other. Essentially, the village raised these kids, and he was sort of a father figure as well.
Aww.
Tiny little village. I mean, it was one street, middle of rural France. And you came out of Andy's, he was in the middle of the street, and you stepped right onto the road. He had like this semi-detached cottage, all sort of stone, and it was under renovation and just hundreds of years old. Lou's at the top of the street. She had a slightly bigger house and she had horses. It was that time as well when you could just buy those kind of places in France for absolute peanuts.
For tuppence,
yeah.
yes.
I don't know what it's like now. It was like a dying village and nobody much wanted to live there. No shops, no bars, nothing.
Just the beauty.
Just a road, yeah, and the beauty, and the excellent wine and horses.
Don't forget the horses.
So production had hired me and Andy, and we were seen as the local crew because he had a place in France. So they'd work us for a couple of weeks, and then we'd go back to his to stay for a few days off. So that there was a crew per presenter, and we were the extra one that would float around, and when they needed to double up with cameras and stuff. So we got into this rhythm of a couple of weeks in Provence, 4 or 5 days back at Andy's. There wasn't a lot to do there. No bars, no restaurants, nothing you could walk to anyway. He had no TV. The internet was dial-up. So painfully slow, you just wouldn't bother with it. and no phone reception. So you're so out in the middle of nowhere.
Isolation.
Really cut off. Yeah. It was quite nice. I wouldn't want to live there like that, but
No. Holiday's fine.
holiday is fine, exactly. So I'd go horse riding with Lou when we stayed there, and that was nice.
Cute.
In the evenings, we'd just drink and chat, and sometimes read books.
I'm
And
just having a little image of you on a horse, though, Ray. Just give me a moment with that, because it's something I never imagined of you.
I might surprise you, but I really enjoy horse riding.
Wonderful. Oh, my God.
Horse riding motorbikes. It's not that far away from each other. Yeah,
I see, yes. Getting your legs over something hot and throbbing.
Getting your adrenaline fix.
That's it.
As the shoot went on in Provence, this big drinking culture came into play, and I was just about the worst of them. I can remember at the end of the day, I'd sign off with, well, that minibar's not going to drink itself, and off I go and back to the hotel, have a shower, and then straight out to the bars. And lots of other on the crew were doing the same thing. It was getting too much. So one of these times, it was like, I think it was going to be the last time we stayed at Andy's. On the way back, I'd say, that's it. I need some time off. I'm not going to drink during this visit. Going to clear my head. Going to look after myself a little bit. And it was the right place to do it as well. Back to nature and all that. So the days passed and my head cleared. Andy was having building work done upstairs, so I had a bed made up in the kitchen.
Convenient.
Yeah, kind of. It was, I know, weird setup. Towards the end of our stay, this sort of 4 or 5 days, I went to bed and I'm sober, very sober, been sober for days, and eventually I went to sleep. And it wasn't easy because it's an old house and they had mice in the kitchen, but eventually I managed it and off I went. Now around 4 a.m. I suddenly woke up and something was wrong. This feeling, something's wrong. I could just feel it. So I thought it through, laying in bed, and it wasn't going away. I got up and paced around a little bit, smoked a cigarette, talked myself down. And eventually I went back to bed, but couldn't get back to sleep. It wasn't going away. So I got up. Sun's coming up. Just gave up on trying to sleep. A couple of hours later, Andy gets up. So immediately I tell him something's wrong. I can feel it. Something's wrong. I've had the weirdest night. I can't express how strong this emotion was. Not anything that I'd had before. So he asked me to try and explain it. So I said, well, it's a bit like when you're hungover and you get the fear, you get that, I've done something terrible last night, but I don't remember what
dread.
It was. The dread, the big dread, yeah. So a little like that, but I know I'm sober and I know nothing's happened. I've been there for 4 or 5 nights. He asked me a great question. He was like, so what does it feel like might have happened? So I really thought about it. And the best I could come up with is a girlfriend of mine at that time ran a club night. So I put it into terms like nothing's happened to her, but maybe something awful has happened at this club which madly affects her. An accident or something to somebody else, but obviously that's going to impact on her.
Yeah.
Didn't necessarily feel it was about her. Could have been about anyone. It felt disjointed, like once removed somehow. Couldn't put my finger on it, but such a strong feeling. He suggested that I go and call everyone up for my peace of mind. So off I went to the top of this hill because there's no phone reception down in the village. Got up there, finally got a signal and start phoning around. So I phoned her first and she's like, no, everything's fine, business as usual. Well, how's everyone else? And luckily lots of them had been at the club last night and she'd seen them till late. She was like, no, nothing to report. So I called my folks and no, nothing here. Oh, what about my sister? No, she's fine. Yeah, go through my phone book a little bit. Nothing to report. Everyone's okay.
Is that why you called me?
No, you were a different story.
You didn't care about me.
I think I would have got you from the club. I came back and tried to forget it. You know, it's just one of those things. Let it pass. It was weird. It'll go away. So me and Andy that evening, we sat down. We're about to have some dinner. We're thinking about playing a DVD. And suddenly Lou's kids come round and they're absolutely in tears. So we bring them in and we start to console them and what's wrong? And it turns out their very fond friend, the old guy next door to Andy, had passed away in the night.
Oh.
They were absolutely in bits about it.
Oh, no.
But meanwhile, me and Andy are looking at each other because suddenly the whole thing's clicking.
Fell into place.
And sure enough, it turns out he'd passed away, natural causes, 4 o'clock, just when I'd woken up.
Oh, Ray.
I know. How spooky is that?
You're an empath. Who knew?
It only happened this once, and
never again?
Could have been the biggest coincidence in the world, but I swear.
No, I don't think so.
It was a feeling like nothing else, Geordie. It was crazy strong and wouldn't go away.
Oh, God. I don't like that for you.
No, I didn't
that
enjoy
feeling.
it. I wouldn't like to have it again. It was undeniable for me. I do just think maybe with a completely clear head and back to nature and clear thinking, maybe other senses kind of wake up a little bit.
Yes.
And to feel somebody is in distress, and I would have been physically the closest person to him at that moment. I can't go with, his spirit passed over me or a ghost or anything like that. I think maybe, those last breaths or something I was tuning into.
Yeah. Trying to figure it out as well is hard because there are like different types of empaths abilities, like clair empathy, which is long range. That would be when you were calling home to see if everyone was okay because you felt like maybe your mum had died or something. And long range empathy, tele-empathy, communications with animals, telepathy, that means, where you can hear your dog talking.
And you've got that whole thing with twins as well. They're the perfect example, aren't they?
Yes.
They totally feel each other's pain.
Yeah, absolutely. Something's happening to one, the other one feels it. Yeah. Psi empathy, sensing unhealthy psychic environments and ghosts. That's the ghosty stuff. Like that's the spooky ookies. That's not you. Although could it be? Could it be?
It could.
Kind of could be. We don't know.
It could be. If you accept one thing, then you've got to be open at least to something else. I can't deny the experience. That's the big thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Here I've got a little bit of information from, I think it's Reddit or something, where it says the power's becoming increased, you become hypersensitive if you have all of those things in place that make you an empath, and you're sensitive to electrical fields, gravity, temporal changes, sound, things that you're not even aware of. So really it could be even subconscious that you're picking up on things subconsciously.
Right.
Maybe you did hear some gasping in the night just before 4 a.m. and it woke you.
Perhaps, but we're talking big, thick walls and...
Right, and maybe you didn't hear it.
No, an old guy. But yeah, perhaps. I just think it's some kind of sixth sense. I can totally get on board with, just humans having an awareness that somebody else is in trouble.
Yeah.
I think it's primeval. I think it goes right through every living creature, perhaps.
Well, we've got these massive brains that aren't being used to their full capacity.
Who knows what we could have done in the past.
Or if we developed differently.
Yeah.
With a different social construct or something. I don't know. This is a big conversation and we've come to the end.
It is big.
You had to throw that one in.
I want answers, Geordie. I'm
not going to give you answers to that. All I had was a couple of things from Reddit where they dreamt that their cousin had died and in the morning they woke up and found out that he died. But not that feeling of dread. That didn't happen.
So the other thing with this story is I have felt on a couple of occasions I've told it and people will shrug their shoulders and just huff and...
Huh?
Yeah. I get shamed.
It's bullshit.
Yeah. I'm being empathically shamed.
Don't allow that, Ray. And here is your forum.
I've got to own it.
And here is your stage for you to be able to own it. And I can guarantee that the majority of the eavesdroppers out there listening to you are going to be writing in and saying, Ray, we had an experience like that as well.
Oh, I'd love to hear of other people's experiences. Please, people.
Do it.
This is a call. Have you ever had the same kind of experience? I definitely benefit from knowing.
So you're right, Ray. These things do happen and they are unexplained and they may just happen once and never again. You might think, oh no, I'm touched with the curse of of the sixth sense now. But actually, it may never happen again.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff.
Isn't it?
It's a strange world out there, Geordie.
It sure is. And you know what? If you write in, we'll talk about more things. If you other people write in, not just Ray, he doesn't have to do all the writing in.
Someone needs to make podcasts about it.
Absolutely. And with that, Ray, we've come to the end of this week's gorgeous podcast, talking to you. I've absolutely loved every second of it.
Well, thank you, Geordie. Thank you for holding my hand through it, tickling my bits when they needed tickling.
Tickling the tests. The testings. They were called testings, weren't they? Or testes, you called them. The test audio that you sent over.
I did send you my testes, yeah.
It made him giggle. But with that gorgeous visual, everyone, we're going to have those last three things. Can you remember what they are? Because I always need help. It's wherever you are.
No, I'm not joining in.
Whatever you do, just keep eavesdropping. 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 Eavesdropping.